Today's video is a follow-up from our recent day trip adventures to 𝗃𝗏𝗧. We both had a fantastic time putting some kit through its paces.
Well, one of us put it through its paces. As you guys know, this is heavily sponsored by Daiwa, which is why we're using Daiwa kit throughout. We've got different rods and reels, so this video is very much to talk through the rods and reels that we've been using. And yes, I know I was lucky on the session and caught a few fish, and Ian didn't, but you have been using them in the meantime, haven't you? And you have caught fish on them as well.
So I mean, what the biosource video that you guys may have already seen.
Yep.
I think, was it 11 fish I managed to bag on that session?
So you've definitely put them through the paces, and you've been using them in your personal fishing as well.
That's it.
So you do have a bit of experience with them. But let's just quickly talk through the setup that I was using and how I found it. So I have been using the Longbow, that was close, isn't it? The Longbow 𝗃𝗶𝗵𝗿 rods, and these are only 3-pound test curve, and I've been having them paired up with the Emblem 𝗶𝗺25A reels. So it's a very small little setup, quite a lightweight setup, even though we were fishing 𝗃𝗏𝗵𝗿, which is a fair size water. I think it's about 18 acres, isn't it?
Something around that, yeah.
Yeah, so casting ranges were probably anywhere between 80 to 110 yards, roughly, I'd say. And that was with a few different methods. It was mainly fishing kind of over a baited area. So like we said, we have made a full session video on that as well, so you can see that. But these held up really well. So I was a bit concerned that they are only 3-pound test curve. Now there are multiple other test curves in this range, but the ones I was sent were the 3-pound test curve. But they still hit them distances pretty well, didn't they?
Certainly did, yeah, time after time as
well. I was hitting the clip every single time. And yeah, I mean, they are very forgiving, which is definitely a good thing, especially on waters like that, because generally day ticket waters, the fish, unless they're proper gravel pits, they do have softer mouths, don't they?
They seem to, yeah,
on
definitely.
Waters like that. So having a forgiving rod is really important when it comes to actually having battles under the rod tip, which a lot of them were, because the water level was quite high, so the fish kind of came in quite quickly, didn't they? But then the battle was very much underneath the rod tip. And there was no chance of losing any fish at any point. So I really enjoyed this combo. The reel, even though it's a small reel, worked really well. Again, it was still hitting them distances with no problem at all. The retrieval was nice and quick on it, even though it's got a really shallow spool. It's only a 25mm. But overall, it's a nice lightweight pairing, and the addition of the kind of free spool option is something that I haven't used in years, but I did get used to it, and I did like using that again. So there's no setting the clutch on the front or anything like that. You know, you've literally just got to click this over, and then you're going free spool, and then you can just reel into it, and then it clicks to well, if it was done up, a much tighter fixed spool. So yeah, I really enjoyed this combo, but I know you've really enjoyed your combo as well, haven't you?
I certainly have. Our original plan on the shoot was to do day one of our testing, if you like, at 𝗃𝗏𝗵𝗿, and then on day 2 we would swap equipment, but that didn't happen. Basically, I didn't want to give this setup
threw a little bit of a strop, didn't you?
Yes, I did a little bit.
I'm not giving my rods away.
Yes. So I got the Infinity X45 rods in a 3.25-pound, and to be honest, a 3.25-pound test curve rod in a 12-foot is me all over. So I knew I was going to like them straight away. Couple that with the extra bits and pieces that are fitted onto these rods to make them a little bit fancy, and yeah, there was no way Luke was getting these out of my van.
I tried.
Yeah, he definitely tried. Yeah, so again, as Luke mentioned, ranges between sort of 90 to 100 yards. I was predominantly fishing PVA bags for the first day, and it was no problem at all with this setup, which again, as Luke mentioned, the spools on the reels that we've been sent out are only small spools, and often a lot of people look at them and think, well, they're no good for distance casting.
Well, they definitely were.
But they definitely do the job, and again, as Luke mentioned, without being too repetitive, it gives you an extremely lightweight setup, which is something which I think is lost in modern day fishing. Like, we all carry like big clunky gear all of the time, and sometimes it is nice to just scale down a little bit and have a nice lightweight setup that is still more than capable of doing the job.
I think it's worth just putting it out there that a solid bag at 100 yards is a long way.
Yes.
On any set of rods. So the fact, again, you're hitting the clip time and time again at 100 yards with a solid bag.
That's it.
But yours aren't always the most aerodynamic. It's a good effort. It is a really good effort.
But it's testament to the rod. That's, you know, I'm certainly not a big caster in any way, shape or form. If anything, most of my fishing's done at probably 60 yards. So yeah, 100 yards with a solid bag. It is a true testament to how good the rods are and how well they couple with this size reel.
I mean, I did have a few casts with that setup as well, and it did feel a far stiffer rod than what this Longbow feels. So it did feel more of a distance tool, whereas this felt very much an all-rounder. So
Yeah.
I think you can, kind of take something from that.
Yeah, I would say if you're not a massive caster,
Mhm.
a 3 pound test curve is probably a lot easier to compress, in which case you will get better, consistent results
Yeah.
from a lighter test curve rod. If, like me, you're like, I mean, I'm a bit of a bigger lad, so I can compress a slightly stiffer rod. This, like I say, this type test curve rod is what I would normally pick. And yeah, it's fantastic. I love
It'll
it.
be interesting to see how far you could ping a lead on that as well, because obviously the design of the lake at 𝗲𝗺𝗺 is you can kind of fish up to about 25 wraps,
Yeah.
is it, from opposite swims. So we didn't want to push them even further because there were people on the opposite bank, but I do think both these sets of rods had a lot more to give.
Yeah, I certainly feel that the rod was not a restriction in any way.
Yeah, which is a nice place to be.
Yes, the only thing limiting the casting ability of this rod is me.
Yeah.
And my technique and my style and whatever else goes into it. But yeah, so fantastic rod coupled with a nice lightweight small reel. And yeah, these are the Whisker 25 QDs, all of the latest and greatest features from the guys over at Daiwa. But we're obviously going to get into the tech specs in a bit. This is just to give you like a little rundown of how we actually liked using the rods. Just moving back to that, as I mentioned, caught plenty of fish in a couple of other sessions since the Daiwa shoot. And yeah, plenty of power in the butt section, but a nice, soft, forgiving tip. Never in a million years do I think I would lose a fish on these. I always use barbless hooks where I can. And yeah, no complaints whatsoever from me.
Yeah. Overall, two very nice little combos. So
100%.
let's get a little bit more into the specs of each.
Let's do it. As I mentioned, these are the Infinity X45 rods coupled with the Whisker 25 QD reels. Now the rods, we'll start with those. You've got 12 and 13 footers, both in 3¼ and 3.75 pound test curves. The entire range are made right here in the UK by hand. So this is as close to a custom built rod as you can get off of the shelf. And they all incorporate quite a few techie bits that take these to the next level. First up, let's talk about the X45 technology. Now this is a layering system. Basically, when they manufacture the blanks, the carbon is laid at 45-degree angles to reduce twist in the blank. So when you're giving it a big and a massive cast, the last thing that you want is any twist in that tip of the rod, because that causes inaccuracy. That X45 layering technology stops that happening, and it means that your casts hit the spot every single time. That, combined with the Magnum taper blank, gives you an incredibly lightweight, fast and powerful blank, while still being extremely forgiving in the tip section. Now, as you may know, the Magnum taper has been used for many, many years by Daiwa, and it is truly tried and tested. Now, there are a few key components that help to give this blank that lightweight but crisp feel. First of all, you've got the HVF technology, which is basically, it means you get more carbon for your money. Resin, which obviously they use to get this carbon layers layered on top of each other, is actually rather heavy, especially compared to carbon. So they reduce the amount of resin in these blanks, which keeps them nice and light, but as I say, extremely crisp. Now the guides offer a massive weight reduction over the standard ceramic lined guides, and that really does help with basically rod speed. The faster you can move the rod through the air, the further that lead's going to go. Moving down to the reel seat, we've got the Alps ARD aluminium reel seat in a beautiful satin black, and it is a thing of beauty. Not only is it comfortable and durable, but it certainly looks the part. And that is part of owning a premium set of rods like this. They've got to perform well and look just as good, because let's be honest, we all spend a lot of time looking at them while they're motionless on the rod rests. Moving down from that, you've got an extremely nice and slim Japanese shrink handle, and this is probably one of my favourite handle options as part of a rod build. Not only does it offer great durability, but also a good amount of grip when casting out the rod or, of course, playing a fish. Now, moving on to the reels, these are the 20 Whisker 25 QDs, and, well, they are certainly a thing of beauty. The 20 stands for the year of manufacture. These are a 2020 model reel. The Whisker, of course, is the range of reels that it belongs in. The 25 stands for the spool size. These are a 25mm spool. Now, often people think a 25mm spool is not suitable for distance casting, but as we've said and as we've proved during the 𝗃𝗶𝗆𝗿 video, these are more than capable of hitting the distances. So if you want a nice lightweight reel setup, don't discount something like this. These are certainly worth taking a look at. Also included as part of that spool is the 𝗏𝗏𝗄 line clips. Now these are designed to help with cushioning the line when hitting the clip at distances. The 𝗃𝗏𝗄𝗃 system is again tried and tested with 90% of the Daiwa reels that are on the market, and it's the quick drag. One full turn takes you from a nice playing action to fully locked up, offering, I believe it's 10 kilos of resistance, and they certainly look the part as well with the red flare-ins. Internally, they're extremely strong and robust. With the Digi2 gearing, they offer great retrieval, and then you've got mag sealing, which is designed to stop any ingress of dirt or liquid. These reels will last a lifetime.
Okay, so moving on to my setup, believe it or not, this is the cheapest setup of the two, but it still has a lot of the features that Ian's Infinities do. This is a Longbow 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗵𝗵, and like I said, I've got this in 3-pound test curve in a 12-foot rod, but there are multiple options. There's 4 different test curves available in 12-foot, alongside a dedicated 12-foot spot and marker rod, and then there is 2 different options in 13-foot as well. So there's plenty of options, and like I say, these are all great all-round rods, but I really like this. Like I say, it's got a lot of the same features as the Infinities. You've got Magnum taper profile, you've got the V-joint alpha TDG guides like they've both got, you've got HVF, but there are differences as well. So the reel seat obviously isn't an Alps reel seat. This is a Sea Guide reel seat, which I don't mind. I like the Alps, but these are absolutely fine as well. They're one of those ones that you know where you stand with them. But overall, yeah, they're a very close rod, but these are obviously, like I said, that little bit cheaper. I've really enjoyed using these. They've got really nice shrink handle, which is actually really slim as well, but it still gives you enough grip when you are doing big casts. And of course, like we've come to expect with high-end Daiwa rods, these are made right here in the UK. Moving on to the reel, like I said earlier, this is quite a small reel and it does have the free spool option. This is the Emblem BR25A. So breaking that down, obviously Emblem is part of the Emblem range. The BR stands for free spool. Let's not talk about that. And then the 25 being the 25mm spool, which again, like Ian, I've actually got on really well with. These have been designed to be smaller reels, more suited for small to medium range casting. But like I've said in this video, we have easily been casting in excess of 100 yards and they have not dropped the ball at all. Overall, these are really nice reels. They're really solid. They're a really nice gloss black design. And like I say, you have got that free spool option where you can go from nice and free spool to tight just by reeling in the handle. And I really like this. It's a bit of a nostalgic feel. I've used these sort of reels loads in the past and then found myself leaning towards front drag, but it is nice to have that feeling again of that free spool clicking back into place. Of course, you can adjust the clutch on the front as well, so when you are playing a fish, it's nice and easy to get exactly how you want it to be, so the fish can take a little bit of line as and when needed. But yeah, overall, they're a solid little reel. And again, they are a lot more affordable than a lot of reels of this sort of quality that are out there on the market at the moment. So there you go, that is our findings of using these 2 rod and reel combos. I've really enjoyed using this setup. I know Ian's really enjoyed using his Infinity and Whisker setup. So much so, I think Daiwa might have a fight on their hands to actually get that back off him. But this isn't the last of these videos, because we do have another one in the pipeline, and we've actually taken delivery of the rod and reel combos, which again, me and Ian are going to have to fight amongst to actually get the combo that we want, because this is the top one. That's all I'm saying. But thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you want to find out any more information about anything we've been using throughout this video and in the 𝗃𝗶𝗆𝗿 session, then head over to the Daiwa website, where there's going to be all the individual specs that we might not have touched upon in this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.